Good morning and welcome to the Grow Omaha Show, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics. I am Trenton Magid. My tenacious co-host that you're used to hearing right now is on assignment with his family, and he's taking the week off from the show. However, I am pleased to welcome our regular contributor and friend, Brad Williams. He'll be my co-host today. Good morning, Brad.
Hey, good morning, Trenton. Thanks for having me back.
People know Brad as the creator of the Grow Omaha construction update, as well as the proprietor of Brad Williams Photography, and an engineer and owner at E&A Consulting Group. And you are one busy guy.
I am busy. Not an engineer, though. I don't have the official degree there. I do more planning. So.
And you do it well. And we appreciate all your contributions to the Grow Omaha Show, and our listeners are also lucky to have you. And happy 420 Day.
420 front and back.
Yeah, so we decided that Chris pointed out that it's a palindrome, 4/20/2024, if you look at it backwards. And the people that imbibe in 420, they're twice baked.
Yes, they are.
So for those people, congratulations. This is going to be a very informative and fun show today. There's a lot going on. We have Ellie Diaz joining us to discuss her 22-plus years as working at PayPal, most notably as the Executive Vice President of Global Customer Service. And she is a small business owner and resident of Gretna. And also, in the later segment, we're going to talk about the unicameral just passed, LB 1317, also known as the Good Life Transformational Projects Act. So we will have a lively discussion with Ellie on the huge potential for the ever-expanding Nebraska Crossing Good Life District. So that hasn't been controversial at all, has it?
No.
That'll be good. But ladies and gentlemen, if you have kids or grandkids who want to develop tumbling and stunting skills, you should check out Cheer Athletics Omaha. As the All-Star Cheer season is winding down, tryouts for the 2024-25 season are both April 27th to 28th and May 11th and 12th. You pick the weekend that works best for you. Go to caomaha.com to register your athlete and join the All-Star Cheer Revolution. Located at 14620 Gold Coast Road in Papillion, it's where Cheer Athletics is where champions are made. By the way, Cheer Athletics is sending 6 teams to Orlando this month that have qualified to go to the world title. So they've been amazing with what they've done, and we congratulate Cheer Athletics and all their success. It is time for the Development News of the Week, sponsored by Eagle Mortgage. Eagle Mortgage is the company right near 114th and Davenport. Holly Schneiderwind, who we've known very well, she has a team. They've been around for over 30 years, and whether you're getting a free consultation, getting a pre-approval letter that is very important if you're out house shopping right now. They do conventional VA and FHA loans. What makes Eagle Mortgage unique is they shop your loan. So it's not just they use one or two lenders. They go to multiple lenders depending on your situation and your financial condition. So go to eaglemortgagecompany.com, and we thank them for their sponsorship of the Development News of the Week. Well, this is interesting. The University of Nebraska Medical Center received approval from the NU Board of Regents for a 6-story new $65 million residential facility to accommodate 300 residents. Located near 39th and Dewey Street, the site currently consists of a surface parking lot and several low-density apartment buildings currently used at UNMC. The plan would be to demolish the existing residential buildings and a portion of the existing surface parking lots in order to make way for the apartment building. UNMC notes that the identified project site has potential for future expansion. Did E&A work on that at all?
No, we didn't do that one. We've done a lot of work. There's a big apartment going up at 48th and Dodge right now that we've worked on that one. But this is going to be a great project for UNMC. I think a lot of people assume that the next big development for UNMC for as far as apartments would be right down there in the Saddle Creek, kind of that mixed use area that they're creating. But this is almost on the opposite end of campus there on 39th.
So speaking of that, the Omaha City Council approved a contract with the developer of the Catalyst project. the redevelopment of the Omaha Steel Castings Factory on the University of Nebraska Medical Center's new West Campus. So this is just west of Saddle Creek, as you were talking about, to build a 750-stall parking garage. Upon completion, the city will purchase the parking garage for $30 million. UNMC will agree to lease no more than 256 stalls to serve faculty and staff. So the city loves to buy parking garages.
Yeah, if you've listened to Grow Omaha the last several weeks or months now, that's come up a lot where the city is building these parking garages or buying them. And it sounds like it's a pretty good revenue generator for the city of Omaha.
Absolutely, and it's a great way to finance those projects. Moving to Bellevue, despite not getting new funding from the state of Nebraska this year, the developers of the 45-acre Prairie Hill Farm development in Bellevue are moving forward according to the Nebraska Examiner. Plans call for a 200,000 square foot cybersecurity building, and it would support the nearby Offutt Air Force Base as well as hundreds of millions of dollars in additional development. Construction could start by the end of the year. There's always some new mission or something that complements the base.
Yeah, it's the base has always, as long as it's been here, been a big economic development for the area.
We appreciate that. Moving west, the Omaha City Council approved a planned unit development for a 33-unit standalone apartment building over a 33-stall parking garage. The project will be built on the northeast corner of the existing 90-unit Latvian Village apartment complex at 3002 Paddock Road, which is really 90th and Center to the southeast.
Yeah, it's tucked up on the side of the hill there behind Earl May.
Kind of our stomping grounds. Those things have been there for like 50 years.
They have, and it's kind of a neat wooded area that's, right in the middle of town, but you also, when you're going up in there, kind of feel like you're a little bit in the woods. So.
It seems, and what's interesting about it is they're putting, don't you call them pedestal buildings where you put parking on a few layers and then apartments above? That's unique for West Omaha. Yeah,
you typically see that more in in the Midtown area, but there's been a few examples around town.
It's a good use of the land. I find this very interesting. As reported by Joe Finley of Nebraska, of NP Dodge Residential Real Estate in the Grow Omaha newsletter, an ordinance approved by the city council last month changes the Omaha zoning regulations to allow accessory dwelling units, known as ADUs, throughout the city. An accessory dwelling unit is an additional small house or apartment on a single-family residential property, in addition to providing an option for growing or aging families. The ADUs address a critical need for affordable housing. The code will only allow one ADU per residential lot. They can be rented but not sold separately from the primary resident. They will have to conform to city regulations, including setbacks, height, and cannot be larger than 750 feet. What do you make of that, Brad?
Well, and the other thing that I looked into that I was kind of concerned about a little bit was that the owner of the land has to live in either the ADU or the main building. So it's not like someone could buy houses in a single-family neighborhood and start adding a second unit to each one and renting them out. So it's it sounds like it's what one way to help the housing affordability right now.
Absolutely, and that is your development news of the week, sponsored by Eagle Mortgage. Go to eaglemortgagecompany.com to get the mortgage for your next house. And I also want to thank our title sponsor, Dingman's Collision Center. These are people that I've worked with for a long time, and they've worked on my cars for a long time, fortunately and unfortunately. It's a family-owned business since 1996, 4 locations throughout Omaha. Dingman's Collision Center has been chosen Best of Omaha in auto body repair since 2005. They also do mechanical. So restore your vehicle's performance with manufacturer-approved repair procedures. Maintain your manufacturer warranties with certified repair. So I highly recommend Dingman's Collision Center. We are going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Ellie Diaz, and we're going to talk about her storied career, 22-plus years working at PayPal, as well as her small business and everything that's happening in Gretna. Stay tuned on KFAB, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the Grow Omaha Show, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics. I am Trenton Magid, joined by my co-host, Brad Williams. Jeff Beals has the weekend off. And it is my pleasure to welcome our guest, Ellie Diaz, who retired last year with 22 plus years of experience at PayPal, most notably as the Executive Vice President of Global Customer Service. And now she owns, with her husband, Sean, the Bark Club, a dog grooming, boarding, and daycare business in Gretna. Welcome, Ellie.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on. So when you started at PayPal in 2001, when there were only about 200 employees in Omaha and about the same number at headquarters in California, the Omaha location was at John Galt Boulevard, affectionately known as the Z92 building for people that have been around for a while. Now the ES&S building, Election Systems and Software. What were your first impressions when you went from First National Bank of Omaha to this relatively new startup?
Yeah, what's funny is I was at First National coming out of college and was there for 6 years and kind of grew up there and learned the customer service organization and management. And then I had a colleague go to this new fun company called X.com that was coming to Omaha to interview in a hotel. And he kept wanting me to come over, and I kept thinking, I don't know, it's a little strange. You're interviewing in this hotel. You're called X.com. Never heard of anything like this. And I told him, in 9 months, if you're still here, call me, and I'll come and meet with you guys.
And what's interesting is it started as X.com, if you don't know that, and Elon Musk, who was one of the investors, actually sold the name X.com,
Yep.
or sold it to them, but then he took it back, right? He bought it back.
Yep, he did. And
a little fun fact.
Yes, and when he did call me, it was about 6 months later. They were moving to PayPal, new naming, PayPal.com, and they were in the Z92 building. So he's like, "We have a facility now. We've got a couple hundred people, and we need you to come and run customer service." And so I met the leadership team at the time. Peter Thiel was still our president at the time, and he'd fly into Omaha from California. But I met the local leadership team, and they kind of wooed me. And I came over, and my first impressions were, oh, my gosh, what did I get myself into? Because it was kind of chaotic, startup company. So they didn't really know what they were doing. So they certainly needed help.
How did they end up choosing Omaha? If they're a California company, how did they end up here?
Yeah, so so there's a lady who's from Ceresco. Her name is Julie Anderson, and she went to college in California, Stanford, and so she was part of the team that kind of started up in the PayPal office in California in the headquarters. And, when PayPal started, PayPal started by referring a friend. So how you got an account was you got $5 in your account, and that was what their big marketing play was. And so they were getting all these emails and phone calls to their headquarters office from customers saying, I didn't get my $5. And she's like, we're trying to do all this. They're trying to do all this other work, product development, and really get this company off the ground. And so she said, I have all these friends and family that are in Ceresco that are at home. Why don't we have them start doing emails for PayPal? And that's kind of how it started. Went from Ceresco and then looking for space in Omaha.
And really, it's about the workforce in Nebraska that really started it all. Tell us a little bit about what Julie what she was so impressed with.
Yeah. So if you think about just overall, the logistics and feasibility of being in the center of the United States was appealing. Having the Midwest culture, work ethic, just as we were hiring workforce, when I came in, we're already about 200 employees in Omaha, but it was growing so fast. We needed a lot more space, so we came into the new facilities in Omaha in 2005. But we kept coming back, and Omaha being our hub, because the workforce was so steady. We had the lowest attrition. It was just economical. It was easy to get in and out of. And it's just, the leader, whether it was from, team members who were taking phone calls to finance, to accounting, to leadership, product, it didn't matter. We were able to hire and recruit, and people wanted to come to the company and stay.
So it wasn't just Omaha, but you were on the team that basically grew it to 15,000 employees all over the world. Now, you went to Shanghai, I believe, and Ireland, and how do you get the cultures of those countries, and how do you mesh all of that in customer service around the world?
Yeah. It's a good question. So when we were starting to think global, which eBay accelerated that thought for PayPal, right? eBay came in and acquired PayPal in 2002, and all of a sudden we went global really fast, and we only had operations in Omaha, but we needed to start speaking other languages. We needed to get around the world. So Ireland and Shanghai came on really, really fast, and I was part of that project team that went to both locations to stand them up. Ireland wasn't that hard to really move into. I would say moving into China was very different, and we actually would bring in, and we partnered with UNO, and we'd bring in professors and people that were part of the international exchange program to help teach us actually from a culture perspective. So they actually would come into the PayPal office in Omaha and help us understand the culture and what we were going into in China. And we would actually take kind of classes from them in the Omaha Center before we'd actually fly out to China.
PayPal has a lot of different areas, accounting and IT and all that. How hard is it to attract that kind of talent to Omaha?
It's really not. I mean, from the experience that I've had through the years, we have so many people that are from the Nebraska area, not just Omaha, but Nebraska area, coming out of school and looking for careers, and PayPal is a great place to start the career. We actually had quite a few people, too, come in and reside in Omaha from other locations as well. But it's really wasn't challenging to find the talent and to grow. And there's when I left in December, there's a lot of organizational functions that were part of Omaha and continue to be part of Omaha. It's not just customer service.
Excellent. When we met for coffee, and I was very interested in your management style, and you said something that caught my attention. It's coach rather than manage employees. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so what I would learn through the years that it was all about empowerment and engagement. So it was empowering your team members. People didn't want to be managed. They didn't want to be told exactly what to do and how to do it. And if you didn't do it, there's consequences. Nobody wants to kind of work that way and live that way. And so you want to understand your parameters. And so it's like, how do you coach people to be the best that they can be? You set the guidelines, you set the parameters, you let people work for what they can work towards. And it's just, it's really, we spent a lot of time on our coaching model, our engagement model, and our leadership model. So we kind of could help the business thrive. It wasn't about us as managers doing the work or as leaders. It was about our workforce. And without them, we weren't successful. And so it really was about coaching them to be their best potential.
And a lot of employees were able to go no PTO. They managed their own schedule, but they had to perform.
Yes.
And how was that transition?
Yeah. So, one of the things that's kind of cool about PayPal as well is you're part of Silicon Valley, you're part of the big tech companies. And so a lot of the things that Google's doing and Microsoft, you pay attention to. And so PayPal they all have these conversations about what do employees want. Flexibility, empowerment, managing my own schedule, my own time, let me do the work and I will work for you. But again, don't tell me how to do it or when to do it or tie me to a desk and time.
But you have benchmarks and you have to perform.
Yes, absolutely.
It's amazing how all that started in technology, in the technology sector, but then is basically migrated to almost every industry now. I mean, there's like manufacturing and stuff, medical, where you're tied to a schedule, tied to certain parameters. But a lot of, even in the engineering field, it's come looser and more about the coaching model and letting people, have their, I don't know if freedom's the right word, but just be a little more involved in the decision making.
No, I totally agree, and people want to keep good talent, and you got to accommodate some of their needs, but at the same time, you have to have company culture. That's why I see a lot more return to office still, even though we're seeing some shadow space where there's some empty offices in Omaha and certainly around the world, but you miss something with that company culture when you don't see each other every day, and I personally like to separate my home life from my work life. Ellie, how hard was the transition from going to 15,000 employees, an international business in the corporate world, to now having 50 employees at the Bark Club in Gretna?
Yeah, I had a phenomenal leadership team at PayPal, and so we just ran very well together around the globe, and things were, just worked well for us as a team. We were together for quite a few years. And so I had started, and my husband and I started this business about 5 years ago in Gretna while I was still at PayPal. I'm still not quite sure how we did that. He's a teacher in Gretna. Then COVID happened, our first year of opening the doors of the Bark Club. And so just trying to make that all work, and you still apply your same business skills and leadership skills and just overall people and customer service skills, whether you're in a small business or small business owner or you're leading 15,000 people, it still applies. And I've just taken that experience and moved it over to the Bark Club.
Well, and you have new endeavors that you're going to announce later, both in Gretna and other parts of Omaha, and we appreciate your service.
I was just say I had a follow-up to Trenton's question about the transition. Did you see the Bark Club as a passion, like you're really interested in dogs, or was it like a business model that you saw and you're like, we have a need for it here?
Yeah, it's the later. I mean, I like dogs. I grew up on a farm, so I'm comfortable with animals. I like animals and dogs. I'm very comfortable. But I saw a need to solve a problem. I have a large Great Dane myself, and the vet told me when we first got her was, you've got to socialize her. And I'm thinking, well, there's nothing in Gretna for me to take her and socialize her. So then my husband and I were like, well, we should build one ourselves.
You went a little extreme. Ellie Diaz, thank you. You're going to join us for our next section. We talk about Gretna. And when we get back, we're going to have the Real Estate Development Spotlight brought to you by Noddle Companies. You're listening to Trenton Magid, Brad Williams, and Ellie Diaz on Grow Omaha right here on KFAB 1110. Stick around. And welcome back to the Grow Omaha Show, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics. I am Trenton Magid. Joining me in the studio today is my guest co-host, Brad Williams, who is a principal at ENA Consulting Group and owner of BradWilliamsPhotography.com. And also joining the studio is our guest, Ellie Diaz, who we just talked about, had a storied career, 22 plus years at PayPal, and is a small business owner at Bark Park, along with her husband, Sean, in Gretna. Well, the moment you've all been waiting for. During this segment, we are going to talk about the Good Life Transformation Act. But before we do that, we are going to give you the Noddle Development Spotlight, brought to you by Noddle Companies. Exarban Village, Valmont Headquarters, River's Edge, and Council Bluffs, and First National Business Park, just to name a few. They've got national projects as well, but they are prolific. And I want to congratulate Noddle Companies for their building at 1501 Mike Fahey Street, Omaha's first hybrid timber building in the Builders District. They have a new fitness center that signed a lease on the first floor, which is retail, and then they'll have 3 floors of office above that. So if you get a chance, go check that 108,000 square foot building out. Also with Noddle Development, Sonny's is open at Exarban Village. That's the Airstream trailer that serves cocktails and light hors d'oeuvres and things like that. That is open. And then right across from that is Les Macarons, if you want some sweets, right next to the Inner Rail Food Court. And get ready for live music and DJs next to Sonny's starting May 3rd. And that is your Noddle Development Spotlight. And check out noddlecompanies.com. Okay. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Nebraska Unicameral just passed LB 1317, known as the Good Life District Transformational Projects Act. Okay? Now, there are a lot of parties to this, and everyone knows Nebraska Crossing, NEX, about 450,000 square foot, one-of-a-kind stores, national stores, and Rod Yates and Johanna Boston are co-founders of, co-founders of Just Data, and a fintech company that helps run all the infrastructure online. And they envision, through the Nebraska Good Life Transformational Act, they envision up to 3,000 acres, 40,000 workers, $2 billion in annual sales. They want to have a new arena that would be a fully sustainable, zero carbon emissions, net zero, multi-use, up to 3,000 acres, okay? And I was talking to them this morning, and they said that they're going to call it the Green Prairie Arena. This part of this development will have 18,000 seats. They've been approached by 4 professional sports teams, they said, and they imagine 20 million shoppers a year. This is Gretna, ladies and gentlemen. It currently has about 9,500 to 10,000 citizens. They imagine within this 3,000-acre district, they would have 12,500 residents. They really want to retain and attract 40 years and younger. I mean, that is the future of our company or of our city. And it sounds like a big dream. They claim to have the $5 billion in financing that'll take. They'll finance it with green bonds and private funding. And then you have all of this. And then I talked to Mayor Mike Evans, and he was kind enough to put together some talking points and things that he wanted people to know, because it sounds incredible, almost like a pipe dream, but Rod Yates and Johanna Boston, they are doing amazing things with Nebraska Crossing, and they have a vision for even more stuff. The mayor said at this point the city has not approved the Good Life District application and has not been presented with any written materials regarding the possible development of the Good Life District. Upon the governor's final signing of LB 1317, the Department of Economic Development is to share the approved Good Life District application and related materials with the city. And what the mayor is all about in the city of Gretna is that they want to increase transparency and accountability. So what this is all about is financing new projects. And what will happen is once the citizens of Gretna vote on this as early as July, it'll go to the vote of the people. Then the sales tax, right now it's 5.5% that the state collects out of the sales tax that they collect, and 2.75% of that will go back to this economic development program, which will be made up of people from the city and people from the project. And there'll be different projects that can apply for this income. We're talking about millions and millions of dollars that'll help finance this, along with other traditional financing sources. So we look forward to that vote in July. But it's almost so incredible, and it would be wonderful. As an economic development person, Jeff and I think this is an amazing thing, and we've known Rod and Johanna for many years, and they've got things done out there. Ellie, as a longtime resident of Gretna, what's your first impressions of what they're talking about? They're talking about resort hotels, 5,000 new apartments, 12,500 residents in this district, and all kinds of entertainment, sports teams. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I think you had even said if it starts with the dream, it's going to be pretty amazing, even if part of that dream comes true. And so I'd say that Gretna is probably one of the fastest growing communities in the state. It's I've been out there almost 20 years, and just seeing what's happened in the school district, seeing what's happened across the city. And you mentioned just the population that's within the city, but you look at how broad it is, and how much space Gretna overall takes up. It's become a pretty large community. So I think it's exciting to have something in that area that kind of bridges between Omaha and Lincoln. I think that we could always use more space for entertainment, to living, green space, which sounds like a lot of this is going to be green space, and it's a lot of the vision, I think, of Gretna is of, with the new park and YMCA and what they've already done with Nebraska Crossing. And so I see it fit in. I don't know to how big it can be. I think people, especially the younger populations coming up, would love to see something like this for not just in the Gretna area, but just overall in Omaha, Nebraska. Like, this is what people want.
It would certainly help us retain smart and all kinds of our population and bring people back home as well as attract new people. Brad, from a land planning standpoint, when you're talking about 2,000 or 3,000 acres, that's a major endeavor.
Oh yeah, definitely. We usually start with something that big, just kind of a real high 30,000 foot view, and just kind of, pick out blocks of land that are going to be, maybe they'll be good with this, and then this block over here would be good with this, and then kind of work on getting the traffic to flow. So it's a great big development. It's great for Gretna. The one thing I kind of I was thinking about earlier was, for a long time everyone thought, the big resort water park, amusement park would be out by Mahoney. Everything was always going to be by Mahoney. The next Omaha International Airport was going to be by Mahoney. But, from reading all this and looking at the things coming out, it seems like Gretna is kind of is going to be the destination, between Omaha and Lincoln.
Absolutely. And Rod Yates and Johanna Boston, they maintain that new arenas will be in suburbs, and people want to be in these new mixed-use developments. And they actually, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen, the 18,000 seat arena would be called the Green Prairie Arena, to give a nod to the fully sustainable net zero emissions of their project.
Yeah, you read that kind of fast earlier, so I was going to ask you to say it again. But yeah, Green Prairie Arena. And so this, this is a big hurdle getting it through the legislature, but, there's still several more steps to go. Next, like we talked about, was the vote with the city. But even after this is all approved, then there's the next hurdle of getting these teams to actually commit 100% to coming here. So it's awesome vision, it's an awesome plan, but there's still quite a long ways to go.
Yeah, and the Nebraska Good Life Act is not just Gretna. There's a project that's approved at 192nd and Dodge Street, and what the mayor's office was saying was they haven't even seen any of these applications or anything for these projects, because that's part of the bill. So they will see that, and then it'll go to the vote of the people.
So how does the 192nd Dodge, that'd be the Avenue 1, the Fountain Ridge, all that, how's that work in Omaha? Is Omaha going to also have a vote?
They have to have so in Gretna, they have to do a minimum of $500 million, I believe, of new construction within the next 10 years. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about here is 10 to 15 years at least of growth and planning and everything else. So it's not going to pop up overnight. But what's interesting is all the focus seems to be in Gretna, because they really are the ones that put this all together. And there's other cities that can they have smaller thresholds that they have to meet as far as new development over the next 10 years. So we haven't seen much about the Avenue 1 version of this, but I know Grand Island and some other places have talked about this.
Yeah, and things, I don't know what Bellevue's plan is, but potentially down the road, maybe they could also apply for a Good Life District too for their water park.
And I believe they're in process for doing that. So that, folks, ladies and gentlemen, I wish we had a whole hour to talk about the Good Life District and what's possible. But knowing all these players that are involved, it's fun to see the process in action, and time will tell. And I wish them all luck, and we want to see more economic development in Gretna and throughout Nebraska.
And the key that you just mentioned was the 10 to 15 years. People get mad all the time on a Grow Omaha Facebook page that Crossroads isn't going, but these projects from beginning to end take a long time to develop.
Absolutely. And when we come back, it'll be time for the lightning round brought to you by Perkins Chrysler Construction. You're listening to Grow Omaha on 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the Grow Omaha Show, brought to you by Dingman's
Dingman's Collision Center.
The Dingman's Collision Center. I know. I was just with them yesterday. Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics. I'm Trenton Magid. Brad Williams is joining me today, and Jeff will be back next week. And it is time for the Perkins Chrysler Construction lightning round. Perkins Chrysler Construction is a full-service Class A general contractor based in Omaha with services in Omaha, Lincoln, Council Bluffs, and surrounding communities such as Grand Island, Norfolk, Kearney, and North Platte, and Sioux City. They have an experienced team of construction property managers, administrators, superintendents, many of them with 30 years plus experience. And The commercial general contractor works on projects from renovations and repairs to multi-million-dollar new developments. They're experienced in healthcare, retail, office, and education, religious, industrial, financial institutions, and restaurants. Check out Perkins Chrysler Construction for your next project. Well, there's a lot going on in the retail and restaurant world. The Brunch Box at 1308 Jackson Street is expanding into the former Burgereem space along 12th on the west side of the Capital District. The restaurant plans to continue operating the current Jackson Street location until the lease expires in about a year from now. That Capital District, Brad, seems to have a renaissance, and they're getting some good tenants.
Yeah, we went to a couple of the new bars down there. The Rocks, was it the Rocks?
Roxy's and Let It Fly?
Roxy's with all the cool guitars hanging above the bar and the walls tiled with cassette tapes. There's a really cool music vibe in there.
The moving to the Old Market, P&C's Popcorn and Cocktails plans to open this spring in the Old Market at 1108 Howard Street. Once the current tenant, Table Coffee Company, moves a couple doors down into the former Stoke space. That's a big space for a coffee shop.
It sure is.
P&C's will specialize in upscale gourmet popcorn and premium cocktails. It is amazing how restaurants in this city, they'll take a chance during COVID. They'll take a chance at everything. If there's a former kitchen, if there's a former restaurant, it'll occupy.
It's funny, too, because, for decades, bars have always had a little popcorn machine in the corner. And it's like someone had an idea like, hey, I got an idea. Popcorn and cocktails. Let's make a theme about it.
Let's do it. Well, on a down note, Applebee's Bar and Grill, 3350 South 143rd Plaza near Oakview Mall has closed permanently. We kind of seen that around the country.
Yeah, we've lost several of them in Omaha. The Crossroads one, the one up on North 72nd, the one out 168th. So only a couple left.
The Heirloom Fine Foods and Market and Cafe has opened inside the Ashton building at 1210 Nicholas Street in Millwork Commons. There's a lot of stuff going over there with Coneflower and a lot of employees there. And the music is playing, Brad.
The music comes quick.
We stuffed a ton of information in this hour.
These shows go so fast.
Ellie Diaz, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate everything you're doing in the Gretna community.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is Trenton Magid and Brad Williams. Jeff Beals will be with us next week on 1110 KFAB.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.